spring?
Well, I mean, we got a lot. I mean, I think installing a totally new defense with a lot of new players, new pieces. I really felt like the last probably 5 practices, I think we really started to like gel a little bit. I think you start to figure out a little bit like who can do what, who you can count on, who can do different things, and I feel pretty good about where we are right now.
I've heard a lot of different players say that it's more of a complicated defense, but it also allows them to do more, make more plays. How do you feel like everyone's kind of mentally getting?
Yeah, I mean, I think to play football at this level is challenging, and so you have to have different ways to defend different people and different options, and so I think part of it is everything's new, right? So the terminology, they don't know how to speak it. They were speaking French for 4 years, now they're speaking Spanish, and so I think like to learn an entirely new verbiage and new defense is challenging. So there's probably part of that. But yeah, I think they've done well. I mean, we certainly I mean, do I wish we could like take a break and start over and do 15 more practices? I do, but that's the football coach in you. So, but I'm happy with where we are. We've still got a lot of work to do and a lot of progress to be made, but I do think we're on the right track.
Coach Brown last week said those corners in particular are going to play a lot more press man than they were used to in the previous scheme. Yep. Why do you like that? What just philosophy?
I think like I kind of look at it like you have to be able to dictate to the offense. Sometimes there's no layups, and I do think that those corners. A year ago they had some injuries, and I think they had to kind of manage through some games where I do feel pretty good about our depth. I think AB's done a great job with those kids, and I think they're good players. So, I knew when I took this job, I knew a little bit about a couple of them that were younger kids. I knew obviously about Rye. So, I'm very confident with that group, and I think, we are going to play a little more man than they did, but I think part of that is just hopefully, being healthy throughout the season with those kids.
There's a spring game format where it's true offense, true defense, the points rewarded for that. Stein said that you got to reward defense for stops. Just how excited are you to see you guys go out there and compete and play with that system? Yeah,
I think anytime we go compete, you're excited to see. I feel like it's like taking a test, right? You get lesson number 3, you study and you go take that test. So that's kind of where we are. So I'm excited to see go out there and tackle live a little bit and do some of that. And I think, see how some of the young kids continue to improve, I think is important.
Who's the MVP of the defense this spring?
I don't know. I feel like we've had a lot of kids really make progress. I mean, the one kid that jumps out at me when I think about man, I think I think Rye's a really good player. I think Teron Nichols is a really good player, and I'm really glad he's here. We lost at the last place I was at. We lost. I jumped on a plane and flew to see him and his mom, and that was the right decision. So he's a tremendous player, really smart competitor. I think he's everything you want in a football player, man. I think I'm really glad like he's here and he's playing at the level he is.
Anybody else? Very good.
That was easy. Appreciate y'all.
Right.
Thanks.